Welcome to the Journal of Biophilic Design podcast. Well, we're really thrilled to be joined today by George Bond, who many of you know, many of our listeners and our watchers already know that is a familiar face to thousands of TV viewers. And he first appeared on TV as co-presenter of ITV Better Homes with Carol Vorderman. He's made some amazing designs in his own interior design practice, and we're going to talk about those today. He's lead judge on the Northern Design Awards, and he's a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts. George, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for asking me. I feel very privileged.
Well, thanks, George. And also, people listening, they should listen out to an announcement and to some news that you're going to tell us about during this podcast. So, which you've given me a heads up about, and it's, oh my God, it sounds so exciting. So
it is.
Well, George, well, thanks to you. I mean, you've worked all over the world. You've obviously been on TV and you've been involved in many professional organisations. Obviously, Carol Vorderman and activist Bianca Jagger and other people as well. I mean, how on earth did you get into interior design in the first place? I mean, what's been your journey?
My journey, when I left school at 18, I decided I was going to be a civil servant. Okay. So I joined the Inland Revenue. Oh boy, that was a big mistake. I just didn't fit into that civil servant, category. Yeah. And I was in the valuation office, which meant I was going out and seeing lots of amazing houses in the Yorkshire area. I was based in York, and I went to school in York, actually. Yeah. And so basically, I was always in trouble because I was more interested in the architecture and the beautiful colours in these lovely country houses. Can you imagine an 18-year-old going into Harwood House and all that Chippendale furniture? Oh, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. Because that Harwood House has the largest collection of Chippendale furniture in the world. It's quite incredible. And I just loved I loved the decor and the fabric walls and the silks, and it was absolutely super. All these wonderful natural fabrics, the tapestry carpets, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So that was my inspiration. And a friend of mine was a very well-known designer in London, and he said to me, you're unhappy doing what you're doing. Why don't you do interior design? You're natural at it. And my partner, Brian, he said to me, well, you've got to do your journey. And he was a very successful man. And he said, but if you're going to do it, you're going to do it properly. So I went to work for Osborne and Little and Paper Moon. I, dotted around a bit, and I got a good background with them. And then I went to KLC school and I did courses there. And I then came back to Newcastle after about 18 months. And well, at that time, I had a studio in the basement of a friend's shop, which was right in the city centre. So I opened up and I had all my wallpaper books and so on and so forth. And nobody knew what it was. They didn't know what an interior designer was up here. Seriously. And I sat in that little basement for 3 months and not one single soul came in. And I thought, I said to Brian, this is no good. It's, we're just going to have to pack it all in. And I got one client and it turned the whole thing round. Really? And then I did her house and it was beautiful. And God bless her, she's dead now. And I didn't kill her. But she actually put the word out, and it just snowballed from there. And so it went on. And I got involved in all these organizations. And then I was asked to do a big project in New York. It was to do a showcase. And off I went, and Brian supported me on this. And I was absolutely terrified because I was interviewed by the New York Times, and because I was the only British designer that, you know, British didn't go over there and do these showcases. What I did, and I got huge support from the fabric people in London, and it caused quite a sensation. And well, I flew all my staff out there, and you know, we had 12 staff then, and they thought they died and gone to heaven, because most of them hadn't even been out of Newcastle, and all these wonderful curtain makers, but they were very creative. And I had good creative staff then that worked with me. So basically, that gave me the inspiration that I wanted to go and work in America, to find out how they did things. I wanted both sides of the Atlantic, and I love that mixture. And I like to do, my designs are basically, I like to go and look at what people already have and work with that. You know, you've got some of these amazing antiques, and I'm one for rummaging, you know, and some of the things that in my house, I have a Dutch screen, and it's all hand painted, and it's 18th century. And you know where I found it? In the back streets of Cape Town.
Oh, seriously?
And I paid 20. Seriously? And Ryan said, "You're mad." I said, "They're going to chop it up." So I bought it for 25 quid and had it shipped back, and it's beautiful. And it's all natural and all hand painted, each panel. So I've got it flat on the screen, and it works, you know. And I like the use of color. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
And you know, using natural fabrics, like my wallpaper that I have in my lounge and dining room, is all silk and seagrass woven.
Okay.
Which is a nice combination, and it gives texture, natural texture, which I love.
Yeah.
And you know, things I've collected from around the world is quite amazing.
Yeah.
From Borneo, from, well, the Americas, obviously, Hong Kong, Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and this is where I get my ideas from. I've got a photographic memory. Even if I'm just in Spain, I can, you know, I can see a door and I think, gosh, you know, and I've got a picture of that door. And when I'm designing, I think that door, that will work, right? And you can imagine me in Zanzibar with all those wonderful Arab doors. Oh, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. And the color, the strong colors, you know, I love. Because what's more natural, the blue sky, the grass, they are your basics. And then you can add from that. It's and that's how I work. I listen to people, and it's quite interesting that way. If you don't listen, you're not going to give them a good design, because they've got to live for this. And yes, it's you know, I did Carol Vorderman's, and she was an interesting person, but she has to have all her books.
Yes.
You know, you've got to work with that. You can't. She's not a person who likes fancy frilly things, but interesting, you know. And it was amazing how I went to work with her.
Yeah.
I'd been in the industry about 10 years at the time, and I got a phone call. They'd started making the program Better Homes, and they wanted a few designers, you see. So they were obviously testing all of us. So they said, "Would you like to come for a screen test?" So off I went for my screen test, and I thought, well, it's a day out in London. I knew I was up against the big boys. And I thought, well, oh my God, am I going to get this? Or it doesn't matter, I'll have a fun day out. And I did. And I did the screen test, and I shook hands with everybody, and I said, "Oh, we'll give you a call in a couple of weeks." And I said, "Well, I'm going off to America the day after tomorrow. There's my American mobile. You can call me on that if you wish." So I was on the train going home that night, back to Newcastle, and I got a phone call from the director, and he said, "You've got the job." That's one thing you can imagine.
So good.
I'd never been in front of a camera before, and that was a big turning point in my life. And I was terrified. I've got to admit, I was absolutely terrified. I sat there on the train and I thought, I'm imagining this, I haven't got it. But there we are. And then I met Carol before we started filming, and she put me at ease. It was very good. A camera, I can always remember that the first time the camera came on me, I was talking to Carol, and the camera came right up to the side of my face. Well, you can't, your eyes do this. She kept looking, and they kept saying, cut, cut, cut. And she said, I just said, well, I can't do this. Yeah. Obviously, I'm no good at it. She said, come on, let's go and have a walk around the garden. Yeah. And it was a lovely sunny day. Yeah. We walked around the garden for about half an hour. She said, do you think you can try it again? And I did. I've got a lot to thank her for. Yeah. She taught me an awful lot. We're still very friendly, very, very close. Yeah. And anyway, I just did it after that. Yeah. And, you can put cameras right around me all the time. It didn't make any difference. I just can do my bit, Yeah. And I had, about 5 wonderful years with her. Yeah. And then I did a lot of TV or local stations. And I went to all the stately homes. They opened their doors to me.
Oh, lovely.
And it was lovely. It was absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And I got a lot of inspiration from seeing all these amazing houses. Again, but I went behind closed doors, right? Which they normally don't let people do. So I saw all the private things, stuff that isn't on show. I was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. It was wonderful. Yeah. And I was very privileged. Yeah. And I had 3 years of doing that, presenting that program. Yeah. And that was really good. And I just, my work has taken me around the world only because I got off my backside and wanted to do it. It was there. And there's a mountain, I want to climb it. Yeah. And that's, Brian and I were both like that. And if I was on safari somewhere with him, because he lived out in Africa, and so we went back there a lot. So I've seen some amazing places which the ordinary tourist just wouldn't see.
It's
fascinating.
Lovely. Yeah,
and it's still going on. Yeah. It's still, and that's what he would like, and that's what I want to do. And I've got a young assistant who works with me, who's just become a daddy, and he's been with me 15 years now. And it's like I can pass things on to him, and he's got this amazing creative mind. And the two of us together, it's quite something, we can wow people. Yeah. But he, like me, likes all natural products. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. And you say, I'm looking at you and your wonderful plants. Yeah. I love plants. Yeah. They make a home. They finish it off. It's very natural. It should be there. Yeah. And my house is full of plants. Yeah. And which is great.
It's lovely.
It is. It's lovely. Yeah. And so that's me, my little journey. And I've just grown and grown with it. And we've been very busy. And and I've met some of the most amazing people. Yeah. I was working with the Countess of Harwood, Diane Lascelles. She's a wonderful person, very creative, great photographer. And we were going to do a lot of joint things. Well, we did. I was at the Ideal Home Show with her. Okay. And we did a garden at the Ideal Home Show together. And it was quite amazing, actually. Got a lot of press, but it wouldn't it, with the, Diane Lascelles being there. So it was great. And she is a keen gardener. And, well, I'm not a keen gardener, but I like colour. Yeah. And she was no good at, so we did this garden, and it was very colourful, And we used the waffle, you know, the interwoven stuff. We used a lot of that, all very natural.
Nice.
And yes, and people were just donating things so we could do this garden.
Wow.
See?
That's really
Yeah. I got a lot of press, and I didn't think I could do a garden, but again, it's color. I like color.
Yeah.
You know, some people were doing gardens that were just all green or whatever, but we got the most press.
Yeah.
Because again, as I say, I'm repeating myself, color.
Yeah.
But that's me. That's me. And yet I always dress in black. Yes, I do. True. Yeah. Somebody said to me the other day, do you have any other color? I said, well, black isn't a color, really.
It's all the colours. It's all the colours, isn't it? It's all the colours.
It is.
So actually,
I get a lot of inspiration and ideas from my travels.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to do. And I can, as I say, I've got this photographic memory.
Yeah.
And I can, if I'm designing, I think I saw that, so that would go in there. Like I'm doing a rather large property. It's squillions and millions. And I was at a hotel in Istanbul, and we had to, staircases. I love doing staircases. And this guy was going to put his new staircase in. And I said, well, that's a load of rubbish, what you're thinking of doing. And he listens to me because I've done this property before. So I was in Istanbul, and I rang Raymond. I said, I've seen the staircase that we're going to put in his house. And we've just done it. And it's quite amazing. Mm-hmm. It's actually on my website. Very beautiful. Yes, it is. Yeah. It's very beautiful.
Really?
And so that's where I get my inspiration. And I was just walking around this hotel and just clicked like that. Yeah. That's the staircase I want. Yeah. And it's like variation, you know. We sort of jiggled around with it, and we made it fit in this big space. Yeah. Boy, it's quite a wow, actually. And I want to enter that because I've won Designer of the Year twice at the International Property Awards. And I want to do a hat trick. Yeah. One more, that's all. And so I'd like to submit that. And hopefully I might be lucky. You never know. Third time.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, really. And as I say, it's been quite a journey, but one I've thoroughly enjoyed. It's had its ups and downs, like any business does. And, you know, we suffer with recession and so on and so forth. But I've never really stopped working. And I do help with the local colleges, you know, the interior design schools. I let them come and work for me in the summer. And they're just so grateful because when they're at college, they have no understanding whatsoever what goes on in the real world. And that was, Raymond came to me in his second year of his degree course, and he's never left. And he qualified to get his master's. But, you know, he's never left me, and that's wonderful.
It is, yeah.
It's interesting. Yes, it is. Yeah. And we think alike, you know? So, yes, as I say, that's my little journey. And it's still going on.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, it is.
Exactly.
It is. And I'm loving it. You've either got it or you haven't. You know, you can go to all these schools, Vanessa.
Yeah.
But it comes from here, from the gut. And you can feel it. You know, I get excited about it. College can't teach you that. You know, it's like brilliant chefs. You've only got a handful. You've got tons and tons of chefs, but you haven't got, you know, a lot of the big boys, because it comes from here. It's creative.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And then I decided I was asked to be a member of the British Institute, and I was on the board of directors for that. I was there with them for 17 years. And I was on the board of directors for 6 of those years. That was interesting. And they are very, very strict to get in with.
Yeah.
And I used to be head of all the regions. I think both of us can actually go into a house and I can remodel the whole thing. I can pull the inside down. There's one property that is on my website where we designed the staircase and its silk walls. It's a wonderful, wonderful property. It's an Edwardian property. But I went in there and it was so ugly when I first went. And he was quite a glamorous person, and she also. And they'd lived in America for a lot of years, and he was coming back to his roots because he owned the football club. Okay. And so he called me in to do the house, and I promised you it took 18 months because I did demolish the inside and do a complete reconfiguration. But boy, did I have a ball doing that. Give me a sledgehammer and I'm off. And it was very, very, very interesting. But she was good to work with. They would listen, and I would listen to them. So, you know, the house, it was exquisite. But they had wonderful, wonderful pieces of furniture that I had to work with. It was all these wonderful natural woods. And they themselves said, we want to use a lot of linens and silks, which I did, and embroidered silks. Well, if you get the right, you know, there's nothing artificial about it at all. No. The threads were all vegetable dyes, and they were, you know, the healthy people. But it was a beautiful, beautiful job in the end. And they're still very happy, and that was 15 years ago. Really? Yes, and we're still good friends. Yeah. And it's actually so funny. He said to me, I think it's time we had a change, George. Will you come back? And 15 years on. And, oh, yes, of course I'm going to do that. Lovely people. And he did say to me, you've created something very special for us. But I listened to them. And they've never got tired of that scheme, you know?
I mean, absolutely, absolutely lovely. I want to talk to you about that in a sec, the sort of the silk wallpaper and stuff. But I mean, you touched on earlier that you love natural materials, you know, silks, linen and cottons. I mean, what is it, the qualities for design, from a designer point of view, from an interior designer point of view, what are the qualities of the natural materials that delight you, you know, and why is it? You know, I know you mentioned about the way what is it?
Yes, it is. It's a natural fabric, a linen, for instance. It just drapes beautifully. It really does. You can puddle it, do whatever, and it just falls.
So you can puddle it. What's puddle it? What's that?
The curtain can lie on the floor, basically. Oh. You know, when you get it comes down, the curtain comes down, and sometimes you see it puddling on the floor.
Yeah, like
that's what they call puddling. Yeah. And it just drapes beautifully, soft. Oh. Yes, like a puddle. Yeah. And it was, you know, 10 years ago, there was a done thing to do that. And even when you put tie backs onto a curtain, it just fell naturally, you know, very beautiful. Yeah. And it's got to have that lovely soft feeling to it, because linen you can use as upholstery as well, because it's very hard wearing. Yeah. And even the good quality cottons, you can use as light upholstery because it has 30,000 rub test. Okay. It always looks natural, soft, beautiful. Same with your cushions, you know. It's silk. I adore. I have silk walls in my bedroom, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's exquisite. And I have a 4-poster bed, and it's all draped in natural fabrics, you know, and embroidered fabrics, which are quite exquisite. And
so what is it about, like, so the silk wallpaper? I mean, we talk about actually this sort of combining it now with the sort of Edwardian hallway solution you did, which is absolutely lovely. I'm going to put them on the website, the journal of biophilicdesign.com, if anybody's listening. But I'll put a before and after on. As you say, it was ugly beforehand, and then you created this, oh my goodness, beautiful, flamboyant, luscious, elegant installation with these beautiful wrought iron steel. But the silk has got plants on it. It's got natural. It's got, you know, botanical.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
But the actual quality of the silk. Can you explain what it is about silk wallpaper that's different, and what the qualities are in a silk wallpaper as opposed to just paper or just these vinyl things that everybody.
It's reflective, right? And it's soft, it's warm. If you use silk on the walls, but you have it paper backed, the sound in your room is different. Yeah. And when I've done fabric walls, which is very much the thing in America, and you pad the wall, and then you drape the fabric is used from the bottom, pulled up, and then stapled on the top, and you get that tall. You could throw a penny at it, and the penny will bing, and that's how you get it. But it gives that softness, and you have a different sound, just when you're having a conversation. You know, and it's interesting to use. And I'm not only, if I'm using a stripe, I don't have a stripe going horizontal, or I run a railroad. So you're pushing a room out. See, if you run a paper railroad, so you can do that with fabrics. And you can either pad the wall, or you can have it paper backed. And in my house, I have it paper backed. I have had it in my big house where we had the walls padded. And I used to have cotton, not silk walls, but cotton. And they were vegetable dye. I used to get the exact color that I needed. Yeah, I did. And I knew what I wanted. And I would send it off to the manufacturers and say, that's the background, that color coral, not dark coral, that coral. And that was quite amazing, because at that particular time, my house went into 25 beautiful homes. A couple of times, and it was very interesting. Beautiful old Georgian house. You could, high ceilings, you know, you could really go to town. And I used a lot of the Indian crewel work in the house. Now, do you know what that Indian crewel work is? It is a technique. It's all embroidered, and you either love it or you hate it. But it's linen. No, sorry, yes, it's linen, and it's all embroidered with all these wonderful colors, but they're all a vegetable dye. So my bedspread, my headboard, I had the canopy above the bed, and it was all draped and very flamboyant. But that was me at the time, you know, and that's the way I did it. And it was very interesting.
What is it about the sort of natural, like the vegetable dyes? I mean, why would you go for vegetable dyes as opposed to like a synthetic?
I don't want to use synthetic. I like natural products. I like to use, if I can bring as much light into a room as I possibly can, I will. And I know how to position mirrors.
We can talk
so there's a big reflect, you know, it's in my dining room. I must be 8 or 9 meters long, the dining area, but I'm mirrored all one wall, all the way down. And the light comes in from the balcony, and it's amazing. You know, it's like having a portrait on your wall, because you bring. I overlook a golf course. So you can be looking in the mirror in the dining area, and you've got the reflection of the golf course and the grass and the cows grazing. And and I'm only 6 minutes from the centre of town.
And what's great about a mirror as well is actually that it's live, isn't it? So it's like you're actually out the window. So you're creating an extra, and obviously from a biophilic design point of view, from our point of view, you know, what I'm kind of all celebrating all the time is, you know, having that view, having that, creating that thing, and bringing in natural light, you know, the whole circadian rhythm thing that's so important for us. You know, most houses, they kind of just got flat walls and stuff, but actually,
oh God, I can't be doing with that. No. I mean, I had
great
in the big old house, I had a portrait that I bought for my partner for his special birthday, and it was painted at the same time as the house was built, which was 1760. And it was painted by an Irishman. And this Irishman used to go around the countryside painting the landed gentry. And so I managed to get hold of this for Brian's birthday, special birthday. And when, God bless him, when he died, I thought, well, I'm not going to part with that portrait. It's huge, and the frame is very ornate. And in that dining room, which is all mirrored one side, I actually had the portrait sunk into the mirrored wall. Yes, and it's a real talking point, but it brings it to life. People think, well, how's that just there? But it is, it's just sunk into the wall, into the mirrored wall. And it catches the light.
With the biophilic design thing, one of the things that I talk to sort of expert people that do acoustics, and obviously in nature there's no walls, if you want, so there's no walls. So in our when we're naturally, the sound kind of, there's nothing for it to reverberate on or to bounce off, so it's gentler on our brains, on our neurosystem. So when we're in a normal house and we've got lots and lots of reflective surfaces and lots of constantly, we're working in a thing for, in an environment, then we're somewhere else and we're in a kitchen and there's loads of reflections. So I was just really interested by the fact that if you're using natural materials on the wall, like the padding, I mean, because I always think, using acoustic paneling, say, for instance, as a solution. But to be honest, I hadn't actually thought about using like silks and linen and cotton wallpaper to.
Oh, yes, you can.
As a muffler,
It is. I did an amazing Jacobean house in Durham.
Yeah.
And we panelled the walls with linen fabric.
Oh, right.
That's on the website. It's quite a dramatic entrance. Beautiful old house.
Yeah.
But so that's...
Yeah, but that's what made me say, when you were saying about the sound changes when you go into
it. It does. Yeah. Definitely changes.
It was use a lot of sort of wood as well in what you do, sort of lots of wood, natural furnishings. Obviously people have got their own pieces of items that they have as well, and lots of velvet as well. And I love all the plant scrolls and things. Even the Edwardian staircase has got these beautiful plants.
And a lot of the velvets that I do use, Vanessa, are silk velvets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can get, and the durability is amazing.
Yeah.
And my sofas in my own house are silk velvets. They're very plush, they're very beautiful. They bruise, but that's part of the natural fabric too. And that's what I like. Tapestries, but all natural fabric. There's a... I like, as I say, I like to use a lot of color, and that's what I'm known for. And I've done some weird and wonderful things. Think outside the box. There's no, anybody can go, oh, we paint the wall this or we do this, but no, think outside the box. It's interesting.
I know.
If you just open your eyes and just look and see what you can do, it's quite amazing. It is.
Sort of going on from that, I mean, you're saying about just doing something completely different. I was going to talk about this at the end, but I'll talk about it now. The that cloud house, the cloud kitchen. Again, I'm going to put a picture on the website, the journal biophilic so people can see it. It's quite extraordinary. I mean, where did that come about? I mean, can you tell us about the project?
Yes, I can. It's an old schoolhouse just outside of Hexham in Northumberland, and it was built in 1830. And this wonderful, wonderful couple, I'm doing the house gradually still, but the kitchen was the first thing. And they're both wacky. She's in the art world, and he is, well, he travels the world himself, and they're just wonderful people. So anyway, I was called in to do the kitchen. So kitchen camera, we did all of that kind of thing. And then I knew she would be adventurous. And I was at Harwood House, and Princess Mary's bedroom was being redecorated because they showed it to the public. Well, they'd found this wallpaper in the garage, and it was all hand-painted botanicals, but it didn't go right to the top. It was shorter. So the Countess said to me, well, what are we going to do? I wasn't actually doing any design there. They're just good friends.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, let's take it as far as we can, and then let's have it, the ceiling hand painted, so it looks like the sky's coming over the top. And that's where I did that. Then I got the inspiration. I thought, well, these two are adventurous. And I promise you, that kitchen, the detail had to be so precise to do it. You know, like the lighting in the ceilings, it all had to match in.
Yeah. So can you describe to someone, because if people can't see it, how would you describe it? I mean, there's clouds all around.
There's clouds all around. It's just like you're looking at the blue sky with lots of clouds floating around.
Yeah. It's on the walls as well, isn't it? So it's actually
on the walls.
It's like you're immersed in it. It's real, like.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was all hand painted.
Yeah.
Onto wallpaper. It's wallpaper.
Is it? Yeah.
It's just wallpaper. So the precision of the wallpaper, so the way it was hung, it was quite incredible. It was quite a task, actually.
Yeah.
But look at the end result, and they are thrilled to bits.
Yeah.
And it's been featured in quite a few magazines. I was very proud of that, actually. Yeah. I nearly drove myself mad, but I was very proud of it in the end. And they love it. That's the main thing. They love it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love the fact that you're working in Harwood House, so you've got like this really old, you know, stately home, and then you've got this sort of contemporary, wacky, but exactly the same concept of, you know, taking the clouds and nature and the view, and making it feel open and spacious, and that, and you've got the complete two different things, but it works in both. Completely different.
It works in both.
But, yeah,
yes, completely.
But
really. Yeah, just thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And everybody said, "You're doing a cloud kitchen? Are you crazy?" You know, but it works. It does work. And if they'll go with you, then you can get some amazing results, which is, again, what I like to do. Anybody can do the straightforward bit. Oh, no. Shut up, George. There's no point in just, you know, I'm not a cushion fluffer.
Yeah.
I like to do the real McCoy.
Can you tell us a little bit about just back to the natural materials thing? You're going to have this new these new materials that you're involved in, and block printing. Please tell us about that. So it's
very interesting. It's very, very interesting. I was introduced to this wonderful Indian lady through a friend of mine who lives in Mallorca. This very, very wealthy lady, American lady, and she happened to be at this lady's wedding where there's like 2,000 guests, but she's quite a well-known lady. And this girl, her name is very difficult to pronounce, but her childhood nickname by her father was Twinkle. So everybody refers to her as Twinkle. And she has a design place. And anyway, I was introduced to her, but via Zoom, actually, through my friend. And we just hit it off. And then she started sending me samples of what she did. And then I would tweak them. And then I was doing things. And her father, who owns all these wonderful hotels, said to me, "Why don't you two get together and produce something?" And actually, that's what we're doing. And I've got world exclusivity on this. Yeah. And so I'm doing design, she's doing designs, and we're combining them. She is doing the more Indian style, but I'm also following that, but we're putting the two together. So you've got the Indian and you've got the English. And it's amazing. We're doing hummingbirds. That was me doing the hummingbirds. And but the peacock is the national bird of India. I was told, I didn't know that till recently. And so we've designed some amazing tableware, the linens, and the peacocks are just draping down the side of the tablecloth. Oh, yes, it's excellent. And their beaks are just on the top, on the edge.
Oh, fantastic.
And it is fantastic.
Can you tell us about it? Because it's linens and block prints. And
it's all linens. It's all hand done.
Can you describe the handmade block print? Can you explain?
Yes, it's all vegetable dyes, so the colours are very natural. and you can have any color you want. But, you know, at the moment we're working with charcoals, and it's very interesting. And I do the design, and then this is the old method going back to the 18th century. And they own a whole village. They employ everyone in this village, and they're all block printing. They do the design on a hand. It's about that big, the block, and I'll send you the link, and you can go and have a look at how they're doing it. And it's just all hand done all the way along, and it's the old traditional way, but it's done to perfection. I'm going to have my guest bedroom done. I'm going to fabric the walls in the linen, but there's fascinating things. You know, it's children's blankets, and they've got a block where it's baby elephants. And yes, and they're just printed like so, with these wonderful designs.
Yeah.
And this child's blanket, baby blanket, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
But there's so I will do designs. She knows how she likes to have the blocks cut, so I send that off, blah, blah, and that's how it goes on. But it's exclusive. You can have it where it's exclusive to you.
Lovely.
Yes. Yeah. So it can be monogrammed, it can be anything you like, and we can do it.
Yeah.
And the dyes made, you know, all vegetable dyes, but they don't fade anymore. Yeah, I know. They used to fade, and the people wouldn't use them at one time, because even the silks, the Indian silks, used to fade because it's all vegetable dyes. But now it doesn't. It's a method in which they process the dyes and the fabric. But the linens are so soft, and the cottons beautiful. You know, you just want to put them on your face and feel them. And they just puddle beautifully. So it's quite exciting. It's very exciting. And as I said, this is exclusive, or can be exclusive to you. But going right through tableware, bedding, we're doing the whole lot. Walling. She's designed one of her father's hotels, which these are the boutique hotels. And okay, this is very, very Indian, but boy, is that exclusive and exquisite. The texture and fabric, water, and the sound is very different. But I've never been to India, but I am looking forward to going now to see this process, and hope, you know, fingers crossed, it's all going to work by the end of the year. If we can travel.
Oh, it's going to be great. You're going to have a great time in India, as I was saying earlier.
Yes, I know.
Fantastic place. Really inspiring, especially you as a designer. Just the lights and the colours and everything. And
that's what I've been told.
Yeah, and I love the fact that what you're going to do with this, and you've got world exclusive on the product line as well. So, but for me, having natural materials, it's all handmade. It's using wood blocks. It's natural dyes. I mean, it's just a total win-win, and you can create all these beautiful, items that you use every day. Now, everything from like the quotidian to the, to these beautiful wall coverings as well. So so I'm definitely gonna watch what you're doing, and then maybe we can have another conversation when it's here, and we could do like some visuals. Maybe we can actually do it in person, so you can actually show us, so we can do video properly.
That sounds exciting.
It'd be really cool. Really, so I don't want to say goodbye, but the final question really that I ask everybody, this kind of like just really potty sort of question, it's a fantasy question. If you could paint the world with a brush of biophilia, there's sort of this brush of nature and sort of natural materials and things, in the world of interiors for you, what would it look like?
It would be like Fantasyland.
Oh, really?
I would have it because that's using my imagination, as I've told you. And if I could do that, you'd just be like going into Disneyland or something like, lots of colors and natural fabrics. That's what I'd like to do.
Thank you for listening to the Journal of Biophilic Design podcast.